I've been using the Google Pixel 10 Pro XL for 1 whole month now, and I've been genuinely enjoying this phone, which isn't a huge shock because I also really love the Google Pixel 9 Pro XL and the Pixel 8 Pro, and I think that what MKBHD said was accurate, and I'm paraphrasing here, but if you liked Pixel phones in the past, you're going to like the Pixel 10 series. If you have never liked Pixel devices before this is not going to change your mind. But I think that comment is directed mainly at Android users. But something I've been thinking about is, what about iPhone users looking to finally switch to Android? Granted, you do miss out on things like iMessage and AirDrop that might be kind of hard to give up, but now you get Pixelsnap and it's just as good as MagSafe, so there are a few things that might convince you to switch to Android this year. But before we get to that, let's talk about the overall design and build quality. I love that the 10 Pro XL has such a clean and mature design identity. And this video isn't to trash on the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but I mean, just look at these two next to each other. I love the orange color, so don't get me wrong, but the design language is simply cleaner and ironically seems more Apple than Apple this year on the Pixel 10 Pro XL. I'm still not a huge fan of the polished, shiny sides, which is something I have mentioned in every Pixel review I have made. Also, I've been noticing the heftiness this year of this device even more so because I've also been daily driving my Galaxy Z Fold 7, which has a huge foldable inner display, but it's also much lighter. And I've come to the conclusion that phones don't need to be this heavy. I'm really hoping that Google can take about 20 grams off the weight next year with the 11 series. And admittedly, the removal of the physical SIM card was much less a hassle than I initially expected. It takes me about 2 minutes to switch between phones, and I have yet to discover if there's any kind of limit. I switch between phones almost every single day. And for reference, I'm using AT&T as my service provider. Overall, everything is well built and extremely premium. And I have grown to like this subtle green color more and more. This is just an attractive and well-designed phone. Apple takes some notes from Google this year. And somewhere Google also didn't reinvent the wheel is that beautiful display. It's a 6.8-inch LTPO OLED, high-resolution 120Hz adaptive refresh rate, and even though it's subtle, we got a bump to 3300 nits of peak brightness and 2200 nits in high brightness mode. It looks terrific in direct sunlight. One thing I will say, especially with Google adapting their own version of MagSafe, I would love to see Google adapt its own version of the S25 Ultra's anti-reflective coating. That, paired with the high brightness it has, would be absolute perfection. Bottom line, this screen looks great whether you're just sitting back and watching some YouTube, like my videos of course, or playing games for long periods of time. One thing I would have liked is for Google to have slimmed down the bezels just a little bit. I'm not saying remove the bezels entirely. I would have liked to see a subtle change like we saw when we went from the iPhone 15 Pro Max to the iPhone 16 Pro Max. It's subtle, but refreshing. Hopefully we can see this next year. And for the battery, it's been great. I'm still regularly getting between 8 and 9 hours of screen on time, and I use this phone fairly heavily watching a bunch of YouTube videos, taking phone calls, sending messages to friends and family, listening to music, any Panda fans out there, and playing games for long periods of time. It's just an easy phone to like. Speaking of which, if this video is helping you, please hit that like button down below and subscribe for more, and make sure you hit that new hype button as well to help others find my channel. And charging is still relatively slow when comparing it to something like the OnePlus 13, but it does a good enough job coming in at 45 watts wired and 25 watts wireless. It does fine, but I hope to see even faster speeds with the Pixel 11 Pro XL. And for the security, it's the best Android has to offer. You get a super fast and reliable ultrasonic display fingerprint sensor that works every single time. I genuinely have no complaints here. And where I only have minor complaints is with the face unlock. Don't get me wrong, it works great in decent lighting, plus you can use it for secure applications like your credit card or banking apps for example, but I thought that by now we would have better facial recognition in low light. Low light performance is inconsistent, and in a dark room it's pretty much useless. For that reason, I just tend to default to the fingerprint sensor that is always reliable for me. And for the always complicated part of any Pixel device video, we get to the performance. Listen, I'm openly a Pixel fan. Look at my channel and you can clearly see that I love Pixel devices. But even with that bias that I have, I think we are hitting a point with Pixel devices that for the price we are paying, the Tensor chip needs to be better. This is not a question of the phone being bad or not. This is a question of value. If you look at the benchmarks of the A19 Pro chip compared to the Tensor G5, and then look at the price in comparison to the 17 Pro Max, you start to wonder if you're overpaying a little bit. Then you start comparing it to the Snapdragon 8 Elite, and you get the same impression. The bottom line is that the Pixel 10 Pro XL is fast, fluid, and a very enjoyable device to use. I just hope that the Tensor G6 will be different. For the price that we are paying, we deserve to be closer to what Snapdragon and Apple's A-series chips offer. With that said, you get 16GB of RAM, which is great, and if you opt for the XL model, you get a base storage of 256GB. Sorry in advance for all the people who want a smaller Pro phone, the non-XL model starts at 128GB. Side note, Google, this is ridiculous. And one thing I found interesting is that Google says that the Tensor G5 is focused on AI. This is a good thing, however, even when comparing it to the Tensor G2, using AI like I would normally do, there's not nearly as much of a difference that I was anticipating. Regardless, everything is classic pixel snappy and fluid. Even though I wish we could have more raw performance, it's clearly a quick phone, and I love that we finally get 256GB of base storage, but I still think Google has some room to grow here, especially for the price that we're paying. And another thing that I didn't think I would appreciate as much as I do is Pixelsnap. Android manufacturers, please listen up. We need this now in every Android device coming up soon. I'm looking at you, Samsung and OnePlus. If you run your phone caseless most of the time like I do, you're going to absolutely love having what is essentially MagSafe from the iPhone on your Pixel device. It's just as strong and magnetic, and I have noticed zero differences between the two. I mean, just look at their hardware inside. It's MagSafe in a Pixel. Freaking finally. And for those who use cases, this means that you can also get MagSafe features for your first-party cases, which is always a good thing. And for the software, I am running Android 16 and Material 3 Expressive. Is it as customizable and feature-rich as something like the Samsung One UI 8? No. However, it is elegant, light on its feet, fast, and fluid. Pixel software is simply enjoyable to use and something that most people would consider the most similar experience from Android that you would get on the latest iPhone. I really like the subtle details, like the way that the notifications just ever so softly change shape and bounce as you swipe them away, or how the app drawer continues to give you that classic bounce when you open it, the way that the music tracker squiggles when it's playing, and even though I can't show it, it's all the amazing haptic feedback that you can feel when using your phone. It's subtle but very polished. Where it's not exactly 100% polished is the Material 3 Expressive. Don't get me wrong, it's not all bad. I think I came off wrong in my initial review of this. It's just that there are certain things that truly don't look very polished, especially when using something like the stopwatch or the alarms. But luckily, where the Pixel 10 Pro XL really comes through for us is the AI. First, a feature that has a lot of potential but still isn't as useful as I had hoped, Magic Q. I thought that after using this phone for 1 month, I would appreciate the Magic Q more, and to be transparent with everyone, I simply forgot it existed. Sure, it would pop up every now and then when opening certain text messages, but the information was rarely useful, or it was just quicker for me to reply manually. Now, this doesn't mean that I don't like it or that I don't appreciate it. On the contrary, the promise of what Magic Q is supposed to offer sounds incredible. It's supposed to connect information across apps and present helpful suggestions that capture the context of the information on your screen. It can pull flight details during a call, a restaurant address for a place that you've reserved, or even a Google Maps location of a planned event. That sounds freaking awesome. As someone who uses primarily Google services for everything, it's just not there yet. I hope that with future updates this feature gets better, but for now it's not something I use regularly. But one thing I could definitely see myself using is voice translate. As some of you may know, I'm bilingual. I completely understand the importance of being able to communicate in your own language. This feature takes the tone of your voice and translates it into another language during a phone call in real time. It's not perfect, but it is way better than I expected. Here's an example of me speaking Spanish to my brother who only speaks English. Hola Steven, ¿cómo estás?
Oh, yes, look how you are. I'm doing great. How are you? Estoy bien. ¿Cómo estás?
Estoy súper bien. Mira, tenemos que ir a la tienda para comprar pollito para comer más
I
tarde.
have to go to the store to buy chicken to eat later. I agree, we need to. I'm feeling hungry. Estoy de acuerdo en que te necesitamos, tengo hambre.
Qué bien, amigo. Mira, lo vamos a hacer, ¿qué tal a las 7? Y vamos a Publix.
Sounds like a plan. Suena como un plan.
Ok, amigo. Chao, te veo más tarde.
Okay, bye. De acuerdo, adiós.
Está chéverazo, eh? And another useful feature that I have used a few more times than I would have expected is Camera Coach. Listen, I really like making YouTube videos and I love tech, but I'm no photographer. This is a live AI feature that you can toggle on when using your camera by hitting this button, and it works very quickly. It suggests framing tips, what level of zoom to use, and other things in the perceived scenario that you are trying to capture. It made me truly think differently when taking my photos, and I believe that it has helped me take more thoughtful photos instead of just snapping at random like I normally do. But let's take a look at something that didn't change at all this year, but it's still amazing: the camera. Yes, like I mentioned in my previous video, we get no improvements in the camera department over the Pixel 9 Pro XL. While this is disappointing, it truly is, the camera was amazing in the previous generation and it's still amazing now. I just wish we could have seen some sort of improvement. You get a 50 megapixel sensor for your main camera, a 48 megapixel ultra wide, a 48 megapixel 5x periscope, and a beautiful 42 megapixel ultra wide with autofocus selfie camera. Photos from the main camera produce accurate color while being a bit more vibrant and punchier than my iPhones, but I like that. And it does all this while capturing fantastic dynamic range. It performs well in bright, sunny situations, in decent lighting, and pretty much in any indoor scenario, regardless if the lighting is good or bad. The ultra-wide also performs very well and has great dynamic range and captures a ton of detail in various situations. Using it to take macro photos also looks great, and the telephoto 5x does great as well, but I wouldn't go past 10x zoom unless you want a lot of grain and loss of detail. And I still find that Google's night mode is the best for nighttime photos. Look at this before and after. It's insane how Google can change photos that are completely unusable into photos that I can actually share. And for the front camera, this is easily the best selfie camera I have used in 2025 when it comes to quality. Colors look great and detail is captured accurately even when using it in the wide-angle field of view. For video, you get 4K 60 on all cameras with solid HDR, stabilization is terrific, and everything looks clean. However, I still prefer the video quality of the iPhone 17 Pro Max and the S25 Ultra, but it's still really good. Now, one thing I neglected to include in my 1-week review was the speaker test. As some of you know, Google apparently gave the XL model upgraded speakers. Let's hear how it sounds compared to the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So, should you buy the Pixel 10 Pro XL? I think in general, absolutely yes. If you have a 9 Pro XL or even the 8 Pro, I would hold off, but if you have the Pixel 7 Pro and older, this is the one I would jump for. So while value is subjective, I think this phone is much better than what it appears to be on paper. I have absolutely loved using it over this last month, and I will continue to use it going forward. If this video helped you, please hit that like button down below and subscribe for more if you like what I do. Also, hit that new hype feature down below as well to help this video get to new viewers, and I will see all of you next time.